You're about to spend the next couple of hours exploring the stranger corners of human belief. These are the theories, the stories, and the ideas that millions of people genuinely trust with their whole hearts. Some are funny, some are deeply unsettling. Most exist in this strange middle ground where you can't quite decide if someone's brilliant or if they've simply fallen down a very deep rabbit hole. Take your time with this. There's no rush. Settle in, relax, and let your mind wander through 50 of the weirdest conspiracies that people actually, truly believe. Let the time disappear. This is your chance to forget about everything else and just listen. The Hollow Earth Theory. Let's start with something that sounds like pure science fiction, but has captured the imagination of believers for centuries. The Hollow Earth Theory proposes that our planet is not a solid mass at all, but rather a hollow sphere with a sun at its center. Inside this hollow sphere, there are entire civilizations, ecosystems, and governments that have been hidden from the rest of humanity. According to believers, this internal sun provides light and heat to underground societies that exist in perfect harmony while we suffer on the surface. The theory gained particular traction in the 19th century when a gentleman named John Cleves Simons Jr. published extensively about how the Earth was actually composed of 5 concentric spheres, each with its own atmosphere and magnetic field. He believed that there were openings at both the North and South poles that allowed access to this inner world. Many believers think NASA and various governments know about this and actively hide the evidence. They point to satellite images of the poles, claiming they contain mysterious dark spots or pixelated areas that are clearly being censored. The theory has persisted through decades, and there are still communities of people who are absolutely convinced that we're all living on the outside of a cosmic terrarium while entire civilizations thrive beneath our feet. JFK assassination, the multiple shooter theory. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, remains one of the most scrutinized moments in American history. The official investigation concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, firing from the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas. However, hundreds of thousands of people believe this explanation is not only incomplete, but fundamentally wrong. They believe there were multiple shooters positioned throughout Dealey Plaza that day. Believers point to the famous Zapruder film, which captured the assassination. They argue that the movements of Kennedy's head in the footage suggest a shot came from the front, not from behind where Oswald was positioned. They analyze the trajectories of the bullets, the timing of the shots, the audio recordings from the police radio. The Warren Commission, which investigated the assassination, has been subject to intense criticism from conspiracy theorists who believe it covered up evidence. Over the years, various documents have been declassified, and each time, believers analyze them looking for proof of conspiracy. The question of whether Oswald was truly the only shooter continues to captivate the imagination of millions of people worldwide. Area 51 and extraterrestrial technology. In the Nevada desert, approximately 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, there exists a highly classified United States Air Force facility. Area 51 is confirmed to be a real military installation, though what actually happens there has been a subject of intense speculation for decades. The conspiracy theories surrounding Area 51 suggest that it's not just a military testing ground, but a facility where the United States government keeps captured extraterrestrial spacecraft and possibly the remains of alien beings. Believers claim that in 1947, a spacecraft crashed near Roswell, New Mexico, and that the wreckage, along with the bodies of the alien occupants, were transported to Area 51. They argue that this is where reverse engineering of alien technology has been occurring for over 70 years. According to this theory, many of our modern technological advances, from computer chips to radar technology, have been derived from studying this alien technology. The government maintains secrecy not for national security reasons, but to prevent panic and to maintain a monopoly on advanced technology. Some believers claim to be former Area 51 employees who witnessed alien beings or spacecraft while working at the facility. The mystery of Area 51 has inspired numerous books, films, and documentaries. The moon landing hoax. One of the most enduring conspiracy theories is the claim that the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969 was actually filmed on a soundstage somewhere on Earth, most commonly believed to be at Area 51 or in Hollywood. Believers argue that the technology to reach the moon didn't actually exist in 1969 and that it was easier to fake the landing than to admit the failure to the American public. They point to various elements of the footage as evidence: the waving American flag in the vacuum of space where there should be no air to move it, the lack of stars in the sky, the shadows that appear to come from multiple light sources. Conspiracy theorists have spent decades analyzing the original footage, frame by frame. They've studied the lunar module, the spacesuits, the equipment left behind on the moon. They've questioned whether the technology existed at the time. They've examined NASA's statements and looked for inconsistencies. Some believers suggest that Stanley Kubrick, who had just completed the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, was brought in to direct the fake footage. This theory has been thoroughly debunked by scientists and engineers, yet millions of people still believe it. The theory persists partly because the moon landing is such a monumental achievement that it strains credulity for some people, and partly because the theory feeds into broader distrust of government institutions. Chemtrails and atmospheric modification. When you look up at the sky on certain days, you see white lines trailing behind aircraft. According to the official explanation, these are contrails, water vapor, that condenses behind hot jet engines at high altitudes. However, millions of people believe these are not contrails but chemtrails, artificial trails of chemical or biological agents being dispersed into the atmosphere. The purposes attributed to this spraying vary: population control, weather modification, mind control, or causing intentional illness. Believers point to the fact that some contrails persist for hours, while others dissipate quickly, suggesting that they're not all simply water vapor. They argue that there's too much spraying happening for it to be normal aviation activity. They examine the composition of samples collected from the ground below contrail-heavy areas and claim to find unusual chemicals. The chemtrail theory has connections to legitimate weather modification research that has been conducted, which believers claim is actually far more extensive than the government admits. The theory has inspired grassroots activist groups who organize observation sessions and collect samples for analysis. The persistence of this theory, despite extensive debunking, suggests that it resonates with a broader distrust of government and institutions. Reptilians controlling world governments. This is where things start to get genuinely strange. The reptilian conspiracy theory suggests that an extraterrestrial reptilian species has infiltrated world governments and is secretly controlling human civilization. According to believers, these reptilians can shapeshift and take human form, allowing them to hide in plain sight. They've supposedly held positions of power throughout history and continue to do so today. The theory gained mainstream attention through the work of David Icke, who wrote extensively about it starting in the 1990s. Believers claim that various world leaders, celebrities, and influential figures are actually reptilians in human form. They point to certain behaviors, mannerisms, or appearance features as evidence of shapeshifting. They cite ancient texts and mythologies that mention reptilian beings as proof that these creatures have been present throughout human history. The theory offers an explanation for why the world seems so controlled and why conflicts continue despite supposed progress. If the world's leaders are actually an alien species interested in controlling humanity rather than improving conditions, then nothing makes sense until you understand this fundamental fact. The reptilian theory has spawned an enormous amount of content, from books to videos to internet communities dedicated to exposing these supposed reptilians. The Flat Earth movement. In the 21st century, after centuries of scientific understanding and decades of satellite imagery, a movement has emerged claiming that the Earth is flat. This isn't a small fringe group anymore. The Flat Earth movement has thousands of active believers, sophisticated communities, and annual conferences. According to this theory, what we think of as gravity is actually just density, and objects fall downward because they're heavier than air, not because they're being pulled by gravitational force. Flat Earthers argue that NASA and various space agencies are engaged in an elaborate conspiracy to convince humanity that they live on a sphere when in reality we live on a flat plane. They claim that the horizon appears flat because we can't see far enough to perceive the curvature. They argue that gravity is a lie designed to control human thinking. Some flat earthers propose an ice wall at the edge of the Earth that governments guard to prevent people from falling off. The movement attracts people from all educational backgrounds. Some are genuinely interested in questioning accepted truths, while others seem to enjoy the community and the alternative thinking. The movement has created its own ecosystem of content creators, researchers, and educators who present material in ways that seem credible to newcomers. The Denver Airport Conspiracy. The Denver International Airport, which opened in 1995, has become a hub of conspiracy theories. The airport's unusual architecture, its underground tunnels, its mysterious artwork, and various other features have led believers to conclude that it's not just an airport, but something far stranger. Some believe it's a secret government facility, others think it's a New World Order headquarters, and still others believe it's a place where elite rituals are conducted. The airport's artwork has been particularly scrutinized. A large mural depicting strange and disturbing scenes has been analyzed endlessly. The airport's main sculpture, a massive blue horse with glowing eyes, has become an icon of the conspiracy theory community. There are rumors of vast underground structures beneath the airport that extend far beyond what's needed for normal airport operations. The airport did cost significantly more than initially budgeted, which believers cite as proof of hidden construction. The unusual distance between certain points on the airport's floor has led to theories about encoded messages. Whether intentional or not, the airport's design and construction have created an aesthetic that lends itself to conspiratorial interpretation. The airport even has a gift shop that sells conspiracy theory merchandise about itself, embracing the attention in a somewhat ironic way. Project MKUltra, mind control experimentation. This conspiracy theory is particularly interesting because it's rooted in documented fact, though believers often expand it far beyond what was actually proven. Project MKUltra was a real CIA program that conducted experiments on human subjects without their consent, involving LSD and other drugs. The program ran from the 1950s into the 1970s and was eventually revealed through investigative journalism and congressional hearings. However, believers argue that the true extent of the program was never fully revealed and that it continues in modified forms today. According to conspiracy theorists, MKUltra was designed to create mind-controlled agents who could be activated through specific triggers or keywords. They cite the cases of various individuals and claim they were products of this program. They argue that the program extends to mass media, with certain music, movies, and television programming containing embedded mind control sequences designed to influence the population. Believers point to specific music videos and films as examples of this programming. They claim that celebrities are victims of MKUltra and that their erratic behavior is evidence of mind control. The actual MKUltra program was disturbing enough on its own, but conspiracy believers have constructed an expanded version that suggests mind control is still being used as a tool of government and corporate power on a massive scale. Illuminati and New World Order. The idea that a secret society of elites is working toward establishing a global government under their complete control has been around for centuries, but it gained modern traction through conspiracy theory, literature, and internet culture. The Illuminati, according to this theory, is an ancient organization with roots in various historical societies, operating behind the scenes to influence world events. The New World Order refers to their supposed goal of a single global government under their control. Believers claim that the Illuminati includes the world's wealthiest individuals, the heads of major corporations, politicians, and entertainment industry figures. They point to symbolism in currency, architecture, and entertainment as evidence of Illuminati presence and influence. The conspiracy theory explains major world events as being orchestrated by this elite group. Wars, economic crises, natural disasters are all claimed to be part of a larger plan to consolidate power and control. The theory provides a comforting narrative in some ways because it suggests that world events aren't random or chaotic, but instead are controlled according to a plan. Some believers find a strange comfort in knowing that someone is in control, even if those someones are malevolent elites. The theory has spawned enormous amounts of content analyzing symbols, connecting dots, and uncovering supposed evidence. Princess Diana, assassination conspiracy. The death of Princess Diana in a car crash in Paris in 1997 was officially ruled an accident. Her driver was speeding, photographs say, and she was not wearing a seatbelt. However, millions of people believe that Diana was deliberately targeted, removed by forces who wanted her silenced. The theory has gained some credibility through the revelation of various details about Diana's life, her relationships, and her supposed knowledge of sensitive information. Believers argue that Diana was becoming a political liability. They suggest she was planning to marry Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed, which supposedly would have created international complications. Some theories suggest that the British royal family wanted her silenced. Others claim it was intelligence agencies. The theory points to the mysterious white van seen near the crash scene, the paparazzi who may have been chasing the vehicle, and various inconsistencies in the official investigation. Mohammed Al-Fayed himself has been vocal about his belief that Diana was the victim of foul play, which has lent some credence to the theory among believers. The case remains controversial enough that new investigations have been opened in recent years, though no evidence of intentional harm has been conclusively established. Bigfoot and cryptids. Despite millions of hours of footage from wildlife cameras, trail cameras, and smartphones in the hands of people worldwide, there has never been definitive proof of Bigfoot, yet millions of people believe this creature exists. Believers claim that Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is a large, intelligent primate that lives in remote forests, avoiding detection through incredible stealth and intelligence. Similar creatures, called cryptids, are believed to exist worldwide, from the Loch Ness Monster to various lesser-known creatures in different regions. The lack of physical evidence is explained away by believers who argue that these creatures are intelligent enough to avoid leaving behind bodies, bones, or DNA samples. They suggest that government agencies have found and killed specimens, but keep the discoveries secret to avoid panic or because they don't want the public to know what's in wilderness areas. The evidence for Bigfoot consists mostly of eyewitness accounts, footprints, and video footage. Some of the most famous footage, like the Patterson film from 1967, has never been definitively debunked, though most experts believe it shows a person in a costume. The Bigfoot community has expanded to include scientific study using thermal imaging, acoustic analysis, and other methods. Regular expeditions into forests are conducted by researchers who believe they'll eventually find conclusive evidence. Paul McCartney is dead. The Paul is dead theory. In 1969, a theory emerged that Paul McCartney of the Beatles had experienced a fatal accident in 1966 and been replaced with an imposter. According to believers, the rest of the Beatles, Apple Records, and various other parties conspired to hide his death while a lookalike took his place. The theory gained traction when supposed clues in Beatles songs and album covers were identified, suggesting that the band was leaving hidden messages about McCartney's fate. Believers point to specific lyrics, to the Abbey Road album cover photograph, which they analyze for hidden meaning, to various songs that supposedly contain backward messages or cryptic references. The conspiracy theory reached a fever pitch in the late 1960s before eventually dying down, though some believers still insist it's true. The theory is interesting because it predates internet culture by decades, showing that conspiracy theories have always been part of human culture. It also demonstrates how flexible conspiracy thinking can be. The supposed replacement Paul McCartney continued making music that many people consider to be among the best of the Beatles' work, yet the theory persists. McCartney himself has addressed the theory multiple times, but believers argue this is exactly what the imposter would do to maintain the cover-up. Nikola Tesla and suppressed technology. Nikola Tesla was a real inventor and engineer whose contributions to electricity and wireless transmission were significant. However, believers argue that Tesla's most important work was suppressed by powerful interests who wanted to maintain control of energy distribution. According to the theory, Tesla developed revolutionary technologies including unlimited free energy, wireless power transmission, and possibly even earthquake machines or weather control devices. Believers claim that Tesla's laboratory notes and research were confiscated after his death, and that the government and major energy corporations have suppressed the release of his work. Some theorists suggest that Tesla's technologies have actually been developed and implemented secretly, explaining various phenomena or military capabilities. Tesla has become an almost mythological figure in conspiracy theory communities, with his actual accomplishments blurred with fictional inventions. The appeal of the Tesla conspiracy theory lies partly in the frustration that energy remains expensive and distributed through centralized grids, when believers argue Tesla could have solved these problems over a century ago. The theory provides an explanation for why technological progress sometimes seems slow or incomplete. Bermuda Triangle disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle is a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where numerous ships and aircraft have supposedly disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Believers argue that this area has unusual properties that cause navigation systems to malfunction, compasses to spin wildly, and vessels to vanish without explanation. Theories about what causes these disappearances range from underground tunnels to magnetism anomalies, to extraterrestrial activity, to time warps. Believers point to the disappearance of Flight 19, a group of Navy bombers that vanished in 1945, as well as various ships that have gone missing in the region. However, researchers have examined these cases and found that the disappearance rate in the Bermuda Triangle is not actually higher than in other parts of the ocean. The region does have significant natural hazards, including strong currents, deep trenches, and sudden weather changes that can cause maritime accidents. Many of the famous disappearances have alternative explanations, though believers argue these are covers for more mysterious occurrences. The Bermuda Triangle has become a staple of conspiracy theory culture, appearing in documentaries, books, and films about unexplained phenomena. Area 51 employee testimonies. While Area 51 itself exists and is confirmed to be a military facility, some of the most intriguing conspiracy theories surrounding it come from supposed former employees who claim to have witnessed extraordinary things. Various individuals have come forward over the years claiming to have worked at Area 51 and witnessed alien spacecraft, extraterrestrial beings, or advanced technology that defies conventional physics. These testimonies have become central to the UFO conspiracy theory community. Some supposed former employees claim they were involved in reverse engineering alien technology. Others say they witnessed the bodies of alien beings that had been recovered from crash sites. A few have claimed they were part of a secret space program that has been operating parallel to NASA. While these testimonies cannot be verified and in many cases appear to be fabrications or misremembered military operations, they remain influential in conspiracy theory circles. The challenge with evaluating these testimonies is that they often contain specific details that sound plausible but cannot be independently confirmed or refuted. The security of Area 51 means that actual former employees are unlikely to speak publicly, creating a vacuum that various individuals have filled with claims ranging from probably false to possibly meaningful. The missing planes, MH370, Malaysia Airlines. Flight 370 disappeared on March 8, 2014, with 239 people aboard. The plane vanished from radar and was never recovered in any meaningful way, though evidence eventually suggested it crashed in the southern Indian Ocean. The case remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. Believers have proposed numerous theories about what actually happened to the plane, ranging from mechanical failure to deliberate action by someone in the cockpit. Some conspiracy theorists believe the plane landed at a secret military base and the passengers were captured for purposes unknown. Others believe a military power intentionally brought down the plane and covered it up. Some theorists have suggested that the plane was diverted and hidden, that there's a conspiracy to prevent the truth from being revealed. The lack of a main wreckage or black boxes that could provide answers has allowed numerous theories to develop. Believers analyze satellite data, pilot communications, and various other evidence looking for proof of their specific theory. The case demonstrates how a genuine mystery, combined with a lack of transparent information, can give rise to increasingly elaborate conspiracy theories. The disappearance of Flight 370 remains so unsolved that even mainstream aviation experts have proposed unlikely scenarios. 9/11 Inside Job Theory. The theory that the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center in New York were orchestrated by the US government has attracted millions of believers, despite being thoroughly investigated and debunked by engineers, investigators, and independent researchers. According to the theory, the buildings were brought down by controlled demolition rather than by the impact of the airplanes and the resulting fires. Believers point to the collapse of Building 7 of the World Trade Center complex, which was not directly hit by a plane. Theorists analyze the structural steel of the buildings, claiming that jet fuel cannot burn hot enough to compromise the structures, therefore the buildings must have been brought down by explosives. They argue that the destruction was too complete to have been caused by just the planes. They question why Building 7 collapsed when it wasn't directly impacted. They analyze videos frame by frame, looking for evidence of detonations. The problem with this theory is that structural engineers have repeatedly explained how fires can weaken steel without needing to melt it, how the buildings were designed to fail in a certain way, and why Building 7's collapse was consistent with what would happen given its damage and the fires burning in it. Nevertheless, millions of people remain convinced that the official explanation is false. Operation Northwoods. This conspiracy theory is based on a real document, which gives it some credibility. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation that was planned by the US military in 1962, but was ultimately rejected. The plan involved staging attacks on American citizens and military facilities and blaming them on Cuba, thereby justifying military action against Fidel Castro's government. The plan was declassified and publicly revealed in 2000. Believers use Operation Northwoods as evidence that the government is willing to execute false flag operations to justify wars. Because the plan actually existed and was seriously considered, believers argue that other false flag operations must have actually been carried out. They point to various conflicts and attacks throughout history, suggesting that they were government orchestrated. The fact that Operation Northwoods was rejected doesn't convince believers. They argue this was just one attempt that was stopped, implying that others were not. The revelation of Operation Northwoods has become a cornerstone of false flag conspiracy thinking. providing historical proof that at least someone in government contemplated such an operation. The Roswell incident and alien contact. In 1947, a rancher near Roswell, New Mexico, discovered debris on his property. According to believers, this debris was the wreckage of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. The U.S. military initially issued a statement saying they had recovered a flying disc, but then quickly retracted the statement and said it was a weather balloon. This reversal has been cited as evidence of a cover-up ever since. According to conspiracy theorists, alien beings were recovered from the crash site and transported to Area 51 for study. The official explanation, revealed decades later, was that the debris was from Project Mogul, a classified program designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. However, believers argue this explanation itself is just another cover story. The Roswell incident has become the foundational mythology of the UFO conspiracy theory community. It's cited as proof that extraterrestrial beings have visited Earth and that the government is hiding this knowledge. The incident has been investigated multiple times, but each investigation just adds more layers to the conspiracy for believers, who argue that the multiple investigations prove something extraordinary happened and the government cannot get their cover story straight. Subliminal messaging in advertising. This theory proposes that corporations and advertisers embed hidden messages in commercials and advertisements that operate on a subconscious level to manipulate consumer behavior. Believers claim that brief images or sounds that the conscious mind doesn't register can influence people's buying decisions and behavior. The theory gained mainstream attention after a famous 1957 experiment where supposedly subliminal messages increased popcorn and Coke sales at a movie theater. The subliminal messaging theory suggests that this technique is being used far more extensively than most people realize. Believers analyze advertisements frame by frame, claiming to find hidden imagery or messages. They suggest that subliminal messaging is used not just to sell products, but to manipulate political opinions and behavior on a larger scale. The theory provides an explanation for why people make purchases they later regret or why they seem to vote against their own interests. Whether or not subliminal messaging actually works as described remains debated by researchers, but believers are convinced of its efficacy. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. This phrase has become a rallying cry for 9/11 conspiracy theorists. The argument is that jet fuel burns at temperatures lower than the melting point of steel. Therefore, steel structures cannot be compromised by jet fuel fires. Believers use this phrase to suggest that the World Trade Center buildings must have been brought down by something other than the heat from the planes. The problem with the argument is that steel doesn't need to melt to lose its structural integrity. When steel is heated to high temperatures, it becomes softer and weaker, losing its ability to support weight long before it actually melts. Structural engineers have explained this repeatedly, but the phrase persists in conspiracy theory circles because it sounds scientifically impressive and is easy for laypeople to remember and repeat. It demonstrates how a superficially plausible argument, even if it's based on a misunderstanding of material science, can become an article of faith in conspiracy theory communities. The phrase has become almost a shibboleth of the 9/11 conspiracy community. The frequency that controls minds. Some believers claim that specific frequencies, particularly 432 Hz, have the ability to control human consciousness and behavior. The theory suggests that the modern musical standard of 440 Hz was deliberately chosen to prevent the population from accessing higher consciousness. According to this theory, 432 Hz is the frequency of the universe and represents a harmonic alignment with nature. By changing musical tuning to 440 Hz, supposed global elites have kept humanity disconnected from natural frequencies. Believers in this theory often promote 432 Hz music and claim it has healing properties and can open third eyes or expand consciousness. They suggest that government and corporations continue to use 440 Hz specifically to keep humans from reaching their full potential. The theory combines ideas from quantum mechanics, consciousness studies, and music theory into an argument that sounds sophisticated but is not supported by scientific evidence. Nevertheless, numerous musicians and content creators have embraced the theory, creating and promoting 432 Hz music. The mock duck evidence conspiracy, a peculiar conspiracy theory that occasionally surfaces in certain communities, claims that ducks are actually surveillance drones operated by the government. According to this theory, what we perceive as ducks are actually sophisticated surveillance equipment. The theory is often presented with a knowing irony, though some people claiming to believe it blur the line between genuine belief and humorous irony. The theory is so absurd that it's difficult to determine how many people actually believe it versus how many are joking. The mock duck theory demonstrates how conspiracy thinking can sometimes stray into territory that seems deliberately absurd, yet the internet has created communities where people earnestly discuss this as though it might be true. The theory may have started as a joke, but has taken on a life of its own, with people analyzing duck behavior, photographs, and movements as though they were examining surveillance footage. Ancient astronaut theory. This theory proposes that many of humanity's ancient civilizations were visited by extraterrestrials who influenced human development. Believers point to ancient texts, artwork, and monuments as evidence of extraterrestrial contact. They argue that structures like the pyramids in Egypt were built with extraterrestrial assistance. According to this theory, ancient gods and deities were actually extraterrestrial visitors. Believers examine ancient artwork looking for imagery that suggests spacesuits, spacecraft, or advanced technology. They study ancient texts looking for descriptions that might refer to extraterrestrial beings. The theory provides an explanation for how ancient civilizations accomplished engineering feats that seem impressive even by modern standards. The theory is problematic because it essentially denies human capability and intelligence, suggesting that ancient peoples could not have developed sophisticated civilizations on their own. However, the theory has proven very popular and has inspired numerous books, documentaries, and television shows. George W. Bush and 9/11 foreknowledge. This conspiracy theory suggests that President George W. Bush and members of his administration had advanced knowledge of the 9/11 attacks and either allowed them to happen or participated in planning them. Believers argue that Bush had a financial interest in the wars that followed 9/11 and that the attacks provided justification for the military actions he wanted to take. Various supposed pieces of evidence are cited, including unusual stock market activity before 9/11 and various statements made by administration officials. The theory suggests that the Bush administration had an agenda that 9/11 facilitated and that this motivated them to allow the attacks to proceed. Investigators have examined these claims extensively, and no evidence of foreknowledge or involvement has been established. Nevertheless, millions of people believe this theory, particularly those who are skeptical of government or who believe the wars that followed 9/11 were unjustified. The theory combines legitimate questions about foreign policy with conspiratorial thinking. MKULTRAMINDCONTROLSLAVES. An expansion of the MKULTRA theory involves the claim that certain celebrities, performers, and individuals have been brainwashed and turned into mind-controlled slaves. According to believers, government agencies have used the techniques supposedly developed in Project MKUltra to create individuals who can be activated and controlled remotely. Believers point to specific celebrities and analyze their behavior, their performances, their fashion choices, and their statements looking for evidence of mind control. The theory suggests that trigger words or phrases can activate these individuals, making them perform certain tasks or say certain things. Believers watch music videos and performances looking for hand signals or symbolic language that might activate or deactivate the supposedly mind-controlled individuals. The theory persists even though no physical mechanism for remote mind control has ever been discovered or proven to work. Nevertheless, numerous content creators produce material analyzing celebrities for signs of mind control, and a significant audience consumes this content. Denver Airport symbols and hidden messages. The Denver International Airport's artwork and design have been subject to exhaustive conspiracy theory analysis. The airport features artwork with strange symbolism, unusual statues, and various design elements that believers argue contain hidden messages. A blue horse sculpture known as Blucifer has become an icon of the conspiracy community. The airport's murals depict apocalyptic scenes that believers interpret as hints about future events planned by the global elite. Believers argue that the unusual cost, overruns in the airport's construction, indicate that more extensive underground structures were built than the public knows about. The peculiar artwork they suggest is not just artistic expression, but deliberate messaging from the elites who constructed the airport. Some theorists claim the airport was built to be a shelter for the elite when catastrophic events occur. Others claim it's a hub for secret operations. The airport has embraced its conspiracy theory status to some degree, selling merchandise related to the theories and acknowledging the attention with some irony. The New Madrid earthquakes forecast. In 1811 and 1812, a series of powerful earthquakes struck the New Madrid region, affecting areas from Tennessee to Illinois to Missouri. The earthquakes were among the most powerful ever recorded in North America. Believers have developed theories about when the next major earthquake in this region will occur, sometimes predicting specific dates for catastrophic seismic events. These predictions have usually failed to materialize on the predicted dates, yet believers continue to generate new predictions. The theory appeals to people who are interested in seismic events and who want to predict future disasters. It also appeals to those who are skeptical of the official channels of seismic prediction. Some theorists claim that the government knows about impending earthquakes but doesn't warn the public. The history of failed predictions does not seem to diminish belief in future predictions, as believers simply adjust their timelines and continue anticipating the catastrophic earthquake. John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane crash. When John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane crashed in 1999, killing him and 2 others aboard, most people accepted it as a tragic accident. However, believers developed theories that the crash was intentionally caused. According to conspiracy theorists, Kennedy Jr. was killed because he was becoming too politically powerful and represented a threat to various powerful interests. Some theories claim the plane was sabotaged, others claim it was brought down deliberately. Kennedy Jr. was a well-liked public figure and the son of President Kennedy, which made his death significant to many people. The fact that his father had also died under controversial circumstances fueled speculation that the Kennedy family might be targeted. Investigators found no evidence of foul play, attributing the crash to pilot error and poor visibility, but believers argue this is a cover-up. Fluoride in water, mind control and poisoning. The conspiracy theory that fluoride is added to water supplies for purposes of population control or mind control has been around for decades. Believers argue that fluoride is poisonous and that governments know this, but add it anyway to water for reasons ranging from making the population docile to deliberate poisoning. According to the theory, the fluoride is used to calcify the pineal gland, which believers claim is the seat of consciousness or the third eye. Believers in this theory often promote 432 Hz music and claim it has healing properties and can open third eyes or expand consciousness. They suggest that government and corporations continue to use fluoride specifically to keep humans from reaching their full potential. Extensive research has shown that fluoride at recommended levels is safe and effective at reducing tooth decay, but this has not convinced believers, who argue the research is part of the conspiracy. The theory appeals to people who are skeptical of government health recommendations and who believe those recommendations are motivated by profit rather than health. The Illuminati hand symbol. Believers claim that members of the Illuminati and other powerful secret societies use specific hand gestures and symbols to identify themselves to each other and to communicate with their fellow members. The most commonly referenced gesture is formed by putting the thumb and index finger together in a circle while holding the other three fingers upright. According to believers, this gesture appears frequently in music videos, film, photographs, and public appearances of celebrities and world leaders. Believers analyze photographs and video footage of public figures looking for this gesture. They examine album covers, film scenes, and social media posts for any appearance of this or other supposedly significant symbols. The theory provides an explanation for why certain people seem to have unusual power or influence, suggesting that they are part of this secret network and benefit from its support. Critics argue that the analysis is prone to confirmation bias, where believers see the symbol in places where it's not actually intended to be present, but believers remain convinced of the significance of these symbols. Bohemian Grove and global elite rituals. Bohemian Grove is a real private retreat in California where powerful politicians, business people, and other elites have gathered for decades. According to conspiracy theorists, what occurs at Bohemian Grove is not just relaxation and socializing, but participation in secret rituals and ceremonies. Believers claim that dark ceremonies are conducted at the retreat, including elaborate theatrical performances and ritual practices that are not for entertainment, but are part of initiating members into secret societies. Believers have suggested various purposes for these rituals, from occult ceremonies to intentional harm. Some video footage of performances at Bohemian Grove has been obtained and analyzed by conspiracy theorists looking for evidence of their claims. The official explanation is that Bohemian Grove is a retreat where members perform theatrical productions, relax, and socialize. However, the secrecy of the retreat and the exclusivity of membership has made it fertile ground for conspiracy speculation. Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was reportedly a CIA program to influence major news organizations and manipulate media coverage. While there is some historical documentation of CIA attempts to influence media during the Cold War, believers have expanded this into a theory that the CIA continues to control major news organizations and manipulates all major news coverage. According to this theory, what we see as journalism is actually government propaganda designed to manipulate public opinion. Believers cite various news stories as examples of media manipulation and propaganda. They argue that certain stories are suppressed while others are given excessive coverage for propaganda purposes. The theory suggests that mainstream media cannot be trusted and that truth can only be found in alternative media sources. The theory has gained credibility among people who are frustrated with mainstream media coverage and who believe journalists are not telling the truth. Philadelphia Experiment and Invisibility. The Philadelphia Experiment is supposedly a secret military experiment that occurred in 1943 where a U.S. Navy destroyer escort was rendered invisible and teleported from Philadelphia to Norfolk, Virginia. According to believers, the ship and its crew returned to Philadelphia but were damaged physically and psychologically by the experience. Some variations of the theory claim the ship phased into another dimension, while others suggest it was simply rendered invisible and moved physically. Believers cite various pieces of supposed evidence, including witness testimony from supposed participants and crew members. The problem with the theory is that there is no documentary evidence that such an experiment ever occurred, and the physical principles involved in invisibility and teleportation remain firmly in the realm of science fiction. Nevertheless, The story persists in conspiracy theory circles as an example of secret military technology that may have been developed decades ago. Cryptocurrency conspiracy. Some believers argue that cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are part of a larger conspiracy to create a cashless society and digital surveillance system. According to the theory, cryptocurrency will eventually replace physical money, and when it does, the government will be able to track every transaction and ultimately control who can and cannot make purchases. This is part of a larger plan to establish total control over the population. Believers point to the decentralization aspect of some cryptocurrencies as evidence that they are not controlled by governments, but by the shadowy figures behind the New World Order. Others argue that certain cryptocurrencies are actually tools of the government designed to facilitate total surveillance and control. The theory combines legitimate concerns about financial privacy and government surveillance with conspiratorial thinking about centralized control. Chemtrails and aluminum poisoning. A variation of the chemtrail theory focuses specifically on aluminum being sprayed into the atmosphere through chemtrails. According to believers, aluminum is accumulating in the soil, in our bodies, and in the water supply, causing serious health problems, including neurodegenerative diseases. Believers claim that the aluminum from chemtrails is the reason for increasing rates of neurological illnesses. They argue that the aluminum compounds being sprayed are causing environmental damage and health effects. Believers collect samples from the soil and water and send them to laboratories for analysis. When aluminum is found, which is expected since aluminum is a common element in the Earth's crust, believers cite this as proof of chemtrail spraying. The theory combines legitimate concerns about environmental pollution with conspiratorial thinking about coordinated aerosol spraying programs. The simulation hypothesis. This theory suggests that our reality is actually a computer simulation created by an advanced civilization. According to believers, we are living inside a simulation similar to the movie The Matrix. The theory has gained some credibility because various physicists and philosophers have acknowledged it as a philosophical possibility. Believers argue that glitches in reality, from Mandela effects to déjà vu to quantum mechanics mysteries, are evidence that we're inside a simulation. Some believers suggest that certain people are aware of the simulation and are working to keep others unaware. Others suggest that the simulators are experimenting on us. The theory provides a framework for understanding the seemingly chaotic and random nature of reality. It's become increasingly popular in conspiracy theory circles, appealing to people interested in philosophy and science. The line between the simulation hypothesis as a philosophical thought experiment and as a conspiracy theory can be blurry. Comet Ping Pong Pizza Place. In 2016, a gunman walked into a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C., claiming he was investigating a supposed conspiracy theory that linked the restaurant to illegal activity. The conspiracy theory had spread online but had no basis in reality. The incident demonstrates how conspiracy theories can move from the internet into the real world and cause actual harm. According to the conspiracy theory, the pizza restaurant was part of a network supposedly connected to political figures. Believers analyzed email leaks looking for coded language that they believed referred to illegal activities. The theory was entirely fabricated and had no factual basis, yet it spread widely on the internet. The incident at the restaurant resulted in no one being physically harmed, but it demonstrated the danger of conspiracy theories that lead believers to take action based on false information. The missing 28 pages. The 9/11 Commission report initially contained 28 pages that were redacted and kept secret. These pages were supposedly related to alleged links between the hijackers and the Saudi government. Believers argued that these missing pages contained evidence of a cover-up implicating Saudi Arabia in the attacks. When the pages were finally declassified in 2016, they contained investigations into alleged links that had not been substantiated but did not prove a major conspiracy to cover up involvement. Believers pointed to the long secrecy of the pages as evidence that the government was hiding something significant. When the pages were finally released and did not contain the bombshell evidence that some believers expected, many argued that the truly damning information was still being withheld. The case demonstrates how redacted information can give rise to conspiracy theories because people fill in the blanks with their own speculation. Genetically modified organisms and population control. Some conspiracy theorists believe that genetically modified organisms are deliberately created to cause health problems and reduce population growth. According to the theory, corporations and governments are using GMO crops to poison the population slowly. Believers point to various health issues and claim they are caused by GMO consumption. They argue that the true risks of GMOs are being hidden by corporations and governments that profit from them. Scientific research has not found evidence that properly approved GMOs cause health problems, but believers argue this research is part of the conspiracy. The theory appeals to people who are concerned about corporate control of food supply and who distrust chemical additives. It combines legitimate concerns about corporate influence in food production with conspiratorial thinking about intentional poisoning of the population. The Antarctic Secret Base. Believers claim that there is a secret governmental base in Antarctica that is conducting secret experiments or harboring extraterrestrial beings. According to some versions of the theory, there are underground cities in Antarctica, or that ancient civilizations once thrived there before Ice Age catastrophes. Some believers suggest that Antarctica is off-limits to ordinary people because governments are hiding something there. The treaty governing Antarctica does restrict military activity there, which believers cite as evidence that something is being hidden. The extreme environment of Antarctica and the difficulty of accessing it makes it fertile ground for conspiracy theories. Some believers claim that governments maintain their secrecy about Antarctica to prevent discovery of evidence that would overturn mainstream understanding of history or science. Stanley Kubrick's deathbed confession. An internet story circulated claiming that Stanley Kubrick, shortly before his death, provided a deathbed confession that he had filmed the moon landing footage. According to the story, Kubrick had been recruited to direct the moon landing hoax and felt guilty before his death. Believers cite this supposed confession as evidence that the moon landings were indeed faked. The problem with this story is that there is no credible evidence that such a confession ever occurred. The story appears to have originated from a satirical or fictional source and spread through the internet as truth. Nevertheless, believers continue to cite it as genuine evidence. The story demonstrates how internet rumors and fabrications can spread and become accepted as fact within conspiracy theory communities. Disney and Illuminati symbolism. Believers claim that Disney animation films contain hidden symbols and programming messages. According to the theory, Disney is being used to indoctrinate children into acceptance of the New World Order. Believers analyze Disney films frame by frame, looking for hidden symbols, supposed coded messages, and imagery that they claim is occult or Illuminati in nature. They argue that Disney employees are part of the conspiracy and deliberately embed these symbols. They claim that Disney owns multiple media companies and uses its control of media to spread propaganda and mind control. While Disney is indeed a large corporation that owns many media properties, the claims about symbols in their films are speculative and based on pattern finding rather than concrete evidence. Walter Cronkite and CIA involvement. Some conspiracy theorists believe that Walter Cronkite, the famous CBS News anchor, was connected to the CIA and that his news coverage was influenced by this connection. According to believers, Cronkite's role in mainstream media made him an ideal asset for intelligence agencies wanting to influence news coverage. Believers point to various news stories covered by Cronkite as evidence of CIA influence. While the CIA has been documented to have relationships with various media organizations and journalists during the Cold War, the specific claims about Cronkite's involvement are speculative. The theory suggests that trusted news anchors were not trustworthy and that news coverage was more influenced by intelligence agencies than the public realized. This feeds into broader distrust of mainstream media institutions. The Mandela effect and reality glitches. The Mandela effect refers to large groups of people having false memories of events that did not occur. The most famous example is people remembering certain brand names differently than they are actually spelled. Believers in some conspiracy circles argue that the Mandela effect is evidence of reality glitches, simulation errors, or alternate timelines bleeding through into our reality. According to this theory, when large numbers of people share a false memory, it's because reality has literally changed and we're remembering the previous version. Most psychologists explain the Mandela effect as a result of how human memory works, particularly the malleability of memory and the power of suggestion. However, some conspiracy theorists have embraced it as evidence that we're living in a simulation or that reality can be manipulated. The theory appeals to people interested in quantum mechanics and alternate realities, and it provides an explanation for puzzling false memories that many people share. Operation Paperclip and Nazi scientists. Operation Paperclip was a real program where the United States recruited German scientists, some of whom had worked for Nazi Germany after World War II. The program brought these scientists to work for the US government on military and space projects. Believers have expanded on this historical fact to suggest that Nazi scientists brought with them not just technical knowledge, but also Nazi ideology, and that this influence has shaped American government and military for decades since the war's end. According to conspiracy theorists, Operation Paperclip was the reason that Nazi ideology has influenced American government and military research. Some believers suggest that Nazi scientists brought technological knowledge that was far ahead of what the general scientific community believed possible. The theory combines real history with speculation and extrapolation to create a narrative about hidden Nazi influence in post-war America. The missing 11 days. In 1752, the British Empire adopted the Gregorian calendar and in the process skipped 11 days. September 2nd was followed directly by September 14th. Some believers have taken this historical event and developed conspiracy theories around it. They argue that this missing time has effects that we don't understand or that governments are hiding information about what happened during those 11 days. The calendar change occurred to correct errors that had accumulated in the old Julian calendar system and to align with continental Europe. Most people understand this as a mundane historical event, but some conspiracy theorists have tried to find meaning in the missing days. The theory is relatively minor compared to other conspiracy theories, but demonstrates how even historical events can be reinterpreted through a conspiratorial lens. Wikipedia bias and hidden history. Some believers argue that Wikipedia, the famous online encyclopedia, is controlled by certain groups to present false information and suppress true information. According to the theory, Wikipedia's editing system is manipulated to keep certain facts off the site or to remove information that contradicts the official narrative. Believers claim that Wikipedia is controlled by agents of the New World Order or intelligence agencies to shape how people understand history and current events. While Wikipedia has been noted to have issues with bias and inaccuracy in some areas, the claim that it's systematically controlled by conspirators is not supported by evidence. Wikipedia's editing system is transparent, and anyone can see who made edits and when. However, some conspiracy theorists believe that this transparency is fake and that there are hidden administrators controlling what information appears. The coming pole shift and catastrophic change. This final theory proposes that the Earth's magnetic poles will shift dramatically or that the planet will experience a catastrophic change. According to believers, this has happened multiple times in Earth's history and will happen again in the near future. Some versions of the theory involve a rogue planet called Planet X or Nibiru colliding with Earth. Other versions involve the magnetic poles reversing, which will cause electromagnetic chaos and disaster. Believers argue that governments know this is coming and are preparing for it in secret while keeping the population unaware. Some suggest that the secret bases are actually shelters being prepared for the coming catastrophe. Others believe that underground bunkers are being prepared for the global elite. The theory combines elements of real scientific phenomena like magnetic pole reversals with catastrophic speculation and conspiratorial thinking about government knowledge and preparation for disaster. Elvis faked his death. The theory that Elvis Presley didn't actually die in 1977 but instead faked his death to escape his life has captured the imagination of believers for decades. According to the theory, Elvis was tired of the spotlight and the pressure of fame, so he orchestrated his own death and went into hiding. Some believers claim to have seen him in various locations since his supposed death. Others argue that he left behind coded messages in his music hinting at his survival. The theory appeals to fans who can't accept the idea that their musical idol is gone. Some believers point to inconsistencies in the official death investigation as evidence of a cover-up. Others claim that Elvis had connections with intelligence agencies and that his faked death was part of a government operation. While there is no credible evidence supporting this theory, the image of Elvis alive somewhere, living a quiet life away from the public eye, has become a romantic notion in conspiracy circles. The Bilderberg Group and global control. The Bilderberg Group is a real organization where influential business people, politicians, and intellectuals gather annually for private conferences. According to conspiracy theorists, these meetings are where the world's most powerful people make decisions that affect global politics and economics without public oversight. Believers argue that major world events are planned at Bilderberg meetings and that the group is essentially a shadow government controlling world affairs. The secrecy surrounding the meetings has made them a focal point of conspiracy speculation. The fact that Bilderberg doesn't publish detailed information about what's discussed at the meetings is cited as evidence that something nefarious is occurring. Believers analyze attendee lists looking for connections to major corporations, governments, and financial institutions. They argue that the group's influence explains why certain policies are implemented globally despite public opposition. The actual purpose of the Bilderberg Group appears to be genuine discussion and networking among global elites, but the secretive nature of the meetings has made them fertile ground for conspiracy theories. The Monarch Butterfly Project. This theory builds on the MKUltra conspiracy and suggests that there is an ongoing secret program called Monarch that uses trauma-based mind control to create programmable individuals. According to believers, these mind-controlled individuals are activated to perform specific tasks, often without conscious awareness of what they're doing. The theory suggests that celebrities, government officials, and other high-profile individuals are actually monarch slaves. Believers point to various celebrities and analyze their public statements and behavior looking for evidence of monarch programming. They claim that certain phrases or gestures serve as activation triggers. They argue that the sudden erratic behavior of certain public figures is evidence of monarch programming or deprogramming attempts. The theory combines elements of real mind control research with speculative fiction to create a narrative where many powerful people are actually puppets controlled by shadowy forces. While the original MKUltra program was disturbing, the monarch theory takes this to an even more elaborate level of control and manipulation. The Philadelphia Corridor crash. Believers claim that in 1945, a U.S. Navy destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, disappeared from Philadelphia and reappeared in Norfolk, Virginia, as a result of an experiment in electromagnetic technology. According to the theory, the ship and its crew were exposed to intense electromagnetic fields that rendered the ship invisible and allowed it to be teleported across space. The crew supposedly suffered psychological and physical damage from the experience. The Philadelphia experiment has been thoroughly debunked by researchers who have found no documentary evidence that such an experiment ever occurred. Nevertheless, the story persists in conspiracy theory circles, often cited as an example of secret military technology that was developed decades ago. Some believers argue that the experiment led to the development of even more advanced technologies that remain hidden from public knowledge. The story has all the elements of a compelling narrative: military experimentation, a coincidence of location names, and the promise of revolutionary technology, chemtrails and population reduction. A more sinister version of the chemtrail theory suggests that the chemicals being sprayed from aircraft are deliberately designed to reduce human population. According to believers, governments and corporations are using chemtrails as a tool for intentional depopulation. They point to declining birth rates in some developed nations as evidence that the chemtrail program is working. Some believers connect this to supposed statements by elites about needing to reduce global population. The theory combines real concerns about environmental pollution with conspiratorial thinking about intentional harm. Believers argue that the chemicals are causing infertility, health problems, and shortened lifespans. They suggest that alternative medicine is being suppressed because it can counteract the effects of chemtrails. The theory provides an explanation for various health trends that believers see as evidence of depopulation efforts. The Vatican conspiracy. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Vatican is the center of a massive conspiracy involving hidden knowledge, occult practices, and control of world religions. According to the theory, the Vatican has access to ancient texts and knowledge that would overturn mainstream understanding of history and religion. Believers argue that the Vatican uses its influence to maintain control over global religious institutions and to suppress information that would challenge the official religious narrative. Some versions of the theory claim that the Vatican is connected to the Illuminati and works with other powerful organizations to establish global control. Others suggest that the Vatican's true purpose is to protect ancient secrets and prevent humanity from accessing forbidden knowledge. The theory appeals to people who are skeptical of organized religion and who believe there are hidden aspects of history that institutions are deliberately concealing. Underground cities and tunnels. Believers claim that there are vast underground cities and tunnel systems beneath major cities around the world that are used by governments and secret organizations for various purposes. According to the theory, these underground structures are far more extensive than what has been officially acknowledged. Some believers suggest that these tunnels connect major cities and allow for rapid transportation and communication. Others argue that the underground areas are used for secret experiments or to house secret populations. The theory is fueled by the fact that some underground structures do exist for legitimate purposes like subway systems, sewers, and bomb shelters. Believers extrapolate from these known structures to imagine far more extensive hidden networks. Some believers claim to have insider knowledge about underground cities or have supposedly escaped from them. The theory combines elements of real infrastructure with speculative architecture to create a hidden world beneath our feet. 5G and mind control towers. A more recent conspiracy theory claims that 5G technology, the fifth generation of cellular network technology, is actually a system designed for mass mind control. According to believers, 5G towers emit frequencies that can influence human consciousness and behavior. Some versions of the theory connect 5G to chemtrails, suggesting that the metallic particles from chemtrails make people more susceptible to 5G frequencies. Others claim that 5G was developed as a weapon that can be used to transmit harmful frequencies to targeted populations. The theory gained significant traction in 2020, with some believers vandalizing cell towers and even engaging in violence against telecommunications workers. The theory demonstrates how conspiracy theories can have real-world harmful consequences. the concern about potential health effects of 5G radiation is not completely baseless, as research is still ongoing about long-term effects of new technologies. But believers have expanded this into a narrative about deliberate mass mind control, Antarctica and ancient civilizations. A variation of the Antarctic conspiracy theory suggests that Antarctica was once the home of an advanced ancient civilization that possessed knowledge and technology far beyond what mainstream history acknowledges. According to believers, this civilization was destroyed by a catastrophic event, possibly a pole shift or asteroid impact. They argue that the remains of this civilization are hidden beneath the ice and that governments are actively preventing exploration and discovery. Believers point to ancient maps that supposedly show Antarctica without ice as evidence of ancient human habitation. They cite various historical texts and mythologies that they believe contain references to this lost Antarctic civilization. Some believers connect this theory to other alternative history theories, creating a narrative where much of accepted history is false and hiding the truth about human civilization's origins and capabilities. The Lost Library of Alexandria. While most people know that the Library of Alexandria was destroyed in ancient times, some conspiracy theorists believe that the destruction was not as complete as historical accounts suggest. According to the theory, the most valuable texts were hidden and preserved by those who wanted to protect forbidden knowledge. Believers argue that these hidden texts contain information about ancient technology, lost civilizations, or spiritual knowledge that would overturn mainstream understanding of history and human capability. The theory suggests that various powerful organizations throughout history have been searching for and protecting these hidden texts. Some believers claim that the Vatican has access to some of these texts, but keeps them hidden from the public. Others suggest that secret societies maintain libraries of these suppressed texts. The Lost Library conspiracy provides a framework for explaining why certain knowledge seems to be missing from historical records. The Shroud of Turin controversy. The Shroud of Turin is a cloth that many Christians believe bore the image of Christ after his death. However, scientific dating has suggested the shroud is from the medieval period, not from the 1st century. Conspiracy theorists argue that the scientific dating is wrong and that the shroud is authentic. Some believers suggest that the dating tests were deliberately falsified to undermine Christian faith. Others claim that the shroud possesses properties that interfere with accurate dating, such as exposure to radiation or other energetic phenomena. The shroud controversy brings together religious belief, scientific methodology, and conspiracy thinking. Believers argue that scientific institutions have a bias against religious claims and will suppress evidence that supports religious narratives. The debate over the shroud continues, with believers developing increasingly complex theories about why mainstream science rejects their interpretation of the evidence. Disney's secret subliminal messages. Beyond the Illuminati symbolism conspiracy, some believers argue that Disney deliberately hides sexual references, drug references, and other inappropriate content in their animated films where children won't consciously notice them. According to this theory, these subliminal messages are designed to corrupt children's innocence and prepare them for acceptance of various immoral behaviors. Believers point to alleged hidden images in Disney films and cite supposed sexual references in song lyrics. While some of these findings have been debunked or shown to be innocent coincidences, believers remain convinced that Disney is deliberately embedding hidden messages. The theory appeals to parents who are concerned about the content children are exposed to and who want to protect them from hidden manipulation. It also reflects broader concerns about corporate influence over childhood and children's media. The Titanic insurance fraud. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the sinking of the Titanic was not an accident but was deliberately orchestrated for insurance fraud. According to the theory, wealthy individuals or the ship's owners deliberately sank the ship to collect insurance money. Believers point to various factors surrounding the ship's maiden voyage and sinking as evidence. The unusually calm sea conditions that night, the presence of powerful, wealthy men aboard the ship, supposed warnings that were ignored. The theory suggests that the ship may have been deliberately rammed or sabotaged. Some versions of the theory claim that the disaster was orchestrated to prevent certain passengers from reaching their destination. While most historians and researchers believe the sinking was a tragic accident caused by the ship's high speed through an ice field, believers continue to propose alternative explanations involving deliberate intention. Fluoride and calcified pineal gland. A specific version of the fluoride conspiracy focuses on the pineal gland, a small endocrine gland in the brain. According to believers, fluoride is deliberately added to water supplies to calcify the pineal gland, which they believe is the center of human consciousness and spirituality. They argue that by calcifying the pineal gland, authorities are preventing humans from accessing higher consciousness and spiritual awareness. Believers claim that a decalcified pineal gland allows access to the third eye and expanded consciousness. The theory combines real biological facts about the pineal gland with spiritual beliefs and speculative claims about consciousness. While the pineal gland does produce melatonin and has some role in regulating circadian rhythms, the claims about consciousness and spirituality are not supported by neuroscience. Nevertheless, believers are convinced that fluoridation is a tool for spiritual suppression. The Voynich manuscript conspiracy. The Voynich manuscript is a real historical document that remains undeciphered. It contains text in an unknown script, along with illustrations of unusual plants and astronomical diagrams. Conspiracy theorists believe that this manuscript contains forbidden knowledge that explains reality in ways that contradict mainstream understanding. According to believers, the manuscript was created by an advanced civilization or by individuals with access to secret knowledge. Some theorists suggest that the manuscript contains information about advanced technology, alternate realities, or spiritual practices. The fact that the manuscript remains undeciphered makes it ideal for conspiracy speculation, as believers can imagine whatever content they want in the mysterious text. The manuscript has become a symbol in conspiracy theory, communities of hidden knowledge waiting to be discovered. Operation Paperclip and Advanced Technology. While Operation Paperclip is a real historical program, conspiracy theorists believe that it involved more than just recruiting German scientists. According to the theory, the United States captured not just scientists, but also advanced technology that the Nazis had developed, including supposed flying disc aircraft, advanced weaponry, and possibly even alien technology that the Nazis had recovered. Believers argue that this technology was incorporated into American military projects and is the source of various unexplained military capabilities. The theory combines real history with speculation about Nazi advanced technology and alleged alien involvement with Nazi research. Some believers suggest that the reason Germany seemed to have technological advantages during World War II was because they possessed extraterrestrial technology. The theory connects various threads of conspiracy thinking into a narrative about how advanced technology came to be in American hands after the war. The carbon dioxide hoax. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the scientific consensus about climate change and carbon dioxide is deliberately false. According to this theory, carbon dioxide is not actually a problem and might even be beneficial to the environment. Believers argue that climate scientists are suppressing evidence that contradicts the global warming narrative because they profit from climate research funding. The theory suggests that governments exaggerate climate change to justify new taxes and increased control over the population. The theory appeals to people who are skeptical of government climate policies and who believe that environmental regulations are economically damaging. It combines legitimate debate about climate policy with conspiratorial thinking about scientific suppression and government control. Believers point to instances where climate predictions were wrong as evidence of deliberate deception. The Arctic polar hole and missing Arctic people. Some conspiracy theorists believe that there is a hole at the North Pole and that the Arctic region contains hidden populations or civilizations that governments are concealing. According to the theory, explorers have discovered this hole and the civilizations within it, but governments have suppressed this information. Believers argue that satellite images of the Arctic contain censored areas that hide the polar opening. The theory combines elements of the hollow Earth theory with claims about hidden Arctic populations. Some believers suggest that if you could reach the pole, you would find an opening leading to the Earth's interior or to hidden civilizations. The theory appeals to those who believe that governments are hiding geographical secrets from the public. The Georgia Guidestones Conspiracy. The Georgia Guidestones are a mysterious granite monument erected in Georgia in 1980 with inscriptions in multiple languages. According to conspiracy theorists, the monument represents a blueprint for the New World Order and was commissioned by the global elite. The inscriptions, which advocate for human population reduction and suggest maintaining harmony with nature, are interpreted by believers as a call for massive depopulation orchestrated by powerful elites. Believers argue that the monument's construction and inscriptions reveal the true intentions of those running the world. Some theorists claim that the first principle listed represents a target for global population, implying an intentional plan for genocide. The anonymous nature of the monument's commissioning has fueled speculation about who built it and why. The monument has become a focal point for New World Order conspiracy theories, Nazi flying discs, and UFO technology. Some conspiracy theorists believe that Nazi Germany developed flying disc technology during World War II, and that this technology was seized by the Allies after the war. According to the theory, Nazi scientists had either developed this technology independently or had obtained it from extraterrestrial sources. Believers argue that these flying discs were the basis for later UFO sightings, and that governments have been reverse engineering captured Nazi technology for decades. The theory combines the Operation Paperclip conspiracy with UFO mythology to create a narrative where Nazi advanced technology continues to influence military capabilities. Some believers suggest that Nazi scientists brought not just their technical knowledge but also occult practices and alien technology to America. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative history and suppressed technology. The Black Knight satellite. Believers claim that there is an artificial satellite called the Black Knight that has been orbiting Earth for thousands of years. According to the theory, this satellite is either an ancient alien spacecraft or evidence of extraterrestrial surveillance of Earth. Believers point to ancient astronomical observations and mythology as evidence that this object has been present throughout human history. Some versions of the theory suggest that NASA and other space agencies are aware of the Black Knight and have photographed it, but the images are kept secret. Believers analyze alleged photographs from space missions, looking for evidence of this mysterious object. The theory appeals to those interested in ancient astronaut theories and the idea that Earth has been visited by extraterrestrials throughout history. The Rendlesham Forest Incident Cover-Up. In 1980, military personnel at RAF Bentwaters in England reported witnessing a UFO landing in Rendlesham Forest. According to conspiracy theorists, this was a genuine extraterrestrial landing that was covered up by military and government authorities. Believers argue that the incident represents one of the most significant pieces of evidence for extraterrestrial contact and that the government has actively suppressed information about what occurred. Believers cite the credibility of the military witnesses and the detailed accounts of the incident as evidence of its authenticity. They argue that the official explanations for the incident are inadequate and that a cover-up occurred. The Rendlesham Forest incident has become a cornerstone of UFO conspiracy theory, representing a moment when extraterrestrials supposedly made direct contact with military personnel. The WOW signal and extraterrestrial message. In 1977, radio astronomers detected an unusual signal from space that was labeled the WOW signal because of the astronomers' excited notation on the data. According to conspiracy theorists, this signal was a message from an extraterrestrial civilization attempting to make contact with Earth. Believers argue that the signal was authentic and that governments and scientific institutions are deliberately suppressing research into its origin and meaning. Some versions of the theory suggest that scientists have decoded the message and found information about extraterrestrial civilizations or technology, but they're keeping this information secret. Others claim that the signal represents proof of intelligent extraterrestrial life and that this discovery threatens the religious and political establishment. The WOW signal has become a symbol in conspiracy communities of suppressed evidence of extraterrestrial communication. Time travelers among us. Some conspiracy theorists believe that time travelers from the future have visited the present and past, and that they're hidden in plain sight among the population. According to the theory, these time travelers are members of secret government programs or extraterrestrial visitors using time travel technology. Believers argue that certain historical figures or modern individuals display unusual knowledge or behavior that suggests they're from another time. The theory appeals to those interested in physics, quantum mechanics, and the possibility of time travel. Believers analyze the behavior and statements of certain individuals looking for evidence of time travel. Some theorists suggest that governments have developed time travel technology and are using it for purposes unknown to the public. The lost continent of Tartaria. A more recent conspiracy theory suggests that a vast continental civilization called Tartaria existed and was erased from history. According to believers, Tartaria was a technologically advanced civilization that covered much of Asia and Eastern Europe. They argue that evidence of Tartaria can be found in old maps, buildings, and historical records, but that this information has been deliberately suppressed and rewritten. Believers point to architectural similarities across wide geographic areas as evidence of a unified civilization. They argue that mainstream history is deliberately incorrect and that Tartaria was removed from history by those seeking to control the narrative about human civilization. The theory combines elements of lost civilizations mythology with claims about historical manipulation. Giants in ancient times. Some conspiracy theorists believe that giants inhabited Earth in ancient times and that evidence of their existence is being suppressed by academic institutions and governments. Believers point to certain archaeological findings, ancient texts, and mythology as evidence that giants once lived on Earth. They argue that the scientific establishment actively suppresses this evidence to maintain control of accepted history. Some versions of the theory suggest that these giants were extraterrestrials or the result of genetic experimentation. Others claim that giants were part of Earth's natural history but were eliminated through catastrophic events. Believers collect and analyze alleged evidence of giants, from skeletal remains to historical accounts to megalithic structures supposedly built by giants. The missing 13th zodiac sign. Some astrology enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists argue that there is a 13th zodiac sign that mainstream astrology deliberately ignores. According to the theory, this missing sign represents hidden knowledge about human nature and cosmic alignment. Believers argue that the removal of the 13th sign from the zodiac was deliberate and was done to control people's understanding of themselves and the universe. The theory combines astrological belief with conspiratorial thinking about knowledge suppression. Some believers suggest that the 13th sign holds special significance and that its recognition would change how humanity understands itself. The theory appeals to those interested in astrology and alternative spirituality. NASA and the moon bases. A variation of the moon landing conspiracy suggests that not only did humans land on the moon, but that NASA discovered evidence of existing extraterrestrial bases or structures on the moon. According to believers, NASA has photographed these bases and structures, but has covered up the evidence. They argue that the true purpose of the space program is to study extraterrestrial presence on the moon, not to conduct the scientific experiments we're told about. Believers analyze official NASA photographs looking for suspicious objects or anomalies that they claim represent alien structures. They argue that certain areas of the moon are deliberately kept out of view during broadcasts to hide evidence of extraterrestrial presence. The theory combines UFO mythology with the real existence of space exploration programs. The microwave effect and mind control. Some conspiracy theorists believe that microwave technology is being used for mind control purposes. According to the theory, the radiation from microwave ovens and wireless technology creates a constant field that influences human consciousness and behavior. Believers argue that this technology was developed through military research and continues to be used as a tool for controlling the population. The theory suggests that people can protect themselves by avoiding microwave ovens, limiting wireless technology, and using various shielding methods. Some believers claim to experience direct effects from microwave radiation and point to health problems they attribute to exposure. The theory combines legitimate concerns about radiation with conspiratorial thinking about intentional mind control. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek analog computer that was discovered in a shipwreck. According to conspiracy theorists, this mechanism represents evidence of advanced ancient technology that contradicts mainstream understanding of ancient civilizations. Believers argue that the Antikythera mechanism proves that ancient societies possessed technological knowledge that was lost and forgotten. Some theorists suggest that the Antikythera mechanism was built with extraterrestrial assistance or represents knowledge passed down from a previous advanced civilization. They argue that mainstream archaeology deliberately minimizes the significance of this artifact to protect accepted narratives about human technological development. The mechanism has become a symbol of suppressed ancient technology. The Dyatlov Pass incident. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers died under mysterious circumstances in the Ural Mountains in an area called Dyatlov Pass. The official investigation concluded the deaths were caused by natural disaster, but believers argue the incident represents something far more mysterious. According to conspiracy theorists, the hikers were killed by paranormal phenomena, UFO encounters, or military experimentation. Believers analyze the circumstantial evidence from the incident looking for proof of their theory. They argue that the official investigation was inadequate and that a cover-up occurred. Some theorists claim that radiation exposure or an explosion of unknown origin caused the deaths. The Dyatlov Pass incident has become a famous unsolved mystery in conspiracy theory communities. The Tunguska event and alien intervention. In 1908, a massive explosion occurred near the Tunguska River in Siberia. The official explanation is that a meteorite impacted Earth. However, some conspiracy theorists argue that the explosion was caused by an alien spacecraft or by directed energy weapon. According to believers, governments have covered up the true cause of the Tunguska event to hide evidence of extraterrestrial activity or advanced weapon technology. Believers argue that the explosion was far too powerful to have been caused by a meteorite, and that evidence of alien involvement was discovered and suppressed. Some theorists connect the Tunguska event to other unexplained phenomena, creating a narrative of ongoing extraterrestrial interactions with Earth hidden from public knowledge. CERN and dimensional rifts. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Large Hadron Collider at CERN is not being used for legitimate particle physics research, but instead is being used to tear open dimensional rifts. According to the theory, scientists at CERN are deliberately creating portals to alternate dimensions, or allowing entities from other dimensions to access our reality. Believers argue that various unexplained phenomena and environmental changes are the result of these experiments. The theory combines quantum physics with science fiction concepts to create a narrative of dangerous experimentation being conducted in secret. Some believers claim that CERN experiments have already caused subtle shifts in reality or have allowed dangerous entities to enter our dimension. The theory appeals to those concerned about uncontrolled scientific experimentation. The obelisks and ancient energy systems. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the world's obelisks represent part of an ancient energy transmission system. According to the theory, obelisks are deliberately positioned at specific locations to harness and transmit energy in ways that control human behavior or manipulate global events. Believers argue that knowledge of these energy systems comes from ancient civilizations or extraterrestrial sources and continues to be used by powerful elites. The theory combines ancient alien theories with beliefs about energy manipulation and human control. Some believers suggest that obelisks serve as receivers or transmitters for consciousness-controlling frequencies. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative energy and ancient mysteries, cymatics, and frequency healing. Some conspiracy theorists believe that specific frequencies and sound patterns have the ability to heal or harm the human body. According to the theory, mainstream medicine deliberately suppresses knowledge of frequency-based healing because it would make pharmaceutical drugs obsolete. Believers argue that cymatics, the study of sound creating patterns and forms, proves the power of frequencies to influence reality. Some theorists suggest that certain frequencies can cure diseases or repair genetic damage, but this information is being hidden by medical and pharmaceutical institutions. Others claim that specific frequencies are being used as weapons to cause disease or psychological harm. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative medicine and holistic healing. The suppressed cancer cure. A persistent conspiracy theory suggests that a cure for cancer has been discovered but is being actively suppressed by pharmaceutical companies and medical institutions. According to believers, multiple cures have actually been developed, but they're not released because the cancer industry is too profitable to allow a genuine cure into the market. Believers point to alternative medicine practitioners and supposed suppressed research as evidence of these hidden cures. The theory appeals to cancer patients and their families who are desperate for solutions. It suggests that treatments that actually work are being hidden by those who profit from ongoing cancer treatment. While alternative medicine approaches have value for some patients, claiming that actual cures are being suppressed represents conspiratorial thinking that can be harmful if it leads people to avoid proven medical treatments. The Schumann resonance manipulation. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic frequency of Earth, is being artificially manipulated by governments and corporations. According to the theory, this manipulation affects human consciousness and behavior. Believers argue that the natural Schumann resonance promotes health and spiritual awareness, and that artificial manipulation of this frequency is being used as a tool for controlling the population. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative health and spirituality. Some believers claim to measure changes in the Schumann resonance and attribute health problems or mood changes to manipulation of this frequency. The theory combines real electromagnetic science with speculative claims about consciousness control. Atlantis and advanced ancient civilizations. While Atlantis is generally considered a fictional creation of Plato, some conspiracy theorists believe it was a real advanced civilization that existed in ancient times. According to believers, Atlantis possessed technology and knowledge far exceeding modern civilization. They argue that Atlantis was destroyed by a catastrophic event and that evidence of this civilization is being actively suppressed by academic institutions and governments. Some theorists claim that Atlantis was located in specific geographic areas and that ruins of the civilization can still be found. They argue that knowledge of Atlantis would overturn accepted history and prove that advanced civilizations have existed multiple times throughout Earth's history. The theory appeals to those interested in lost civilizations and alternative history. Government alien treaties. According to some conspiracy theorists, the U.S. government has made treaties with extraterrestrial civilizations. According to believers, These treaties allow aliens to conduct experiments on humans or abduct citizens in exchange for advanced technology. Some versions of the theory claim that governments have given aliens permission to harvest genetic material from humans or to conduct medical experiments. The theory suggests that aliens abduct people with government knowledge and permission, and that governments have access to advanced alien technology but keep it secret. Some believers claim to have been abducted or to have direct knowledge of these treaties. The theory appeals to UFO enthusiasts and those who believe in extraterrestrial contact. HAARP and weather control weapons. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, commonly known as HAARP, is a real research facility. However, conspiracy theorists believe that HAARP is not a legitimate research program, but rather a weather control weapon. According to the theory, HAARP uses high-frequency radio waves to manipulate the Earth's atmosphere and create weather events, including hurricanes, earthquakes, and droughts. Believers argue that HAARP is being used by governments and corporations to cause environmental disasters for political purposes or profit. They analyze weather patterns and argue that unusual weather corresponds to HAARP activity. The theory has inspired numerous documentaries and become a cornerstone of weather control conspiracy thinking. The Philadelphia Corridor Expansion. A deeper version of the Philadelphia experiment theory suggests that the experiment was not a one-time occurrence, but rather represented the discovery of technology that enables teleportation and interdimensional travel. According to believers, the government has continued experimenting with this technology in secret, using human subjects in many cases. Some theorists claim that this technology has led to the development of underground transportation systems connecting military bases and secret facilities. The theory expands from a single supposed experiment into an ongoing program of secret technological development and human experimentation. Believers point to various pieces of alleged evidence, including witness testimony and unusual military construction projects, as proof of continued teleportation research, genetic experiments, and human modification. Some conspiracy theorists believe that governments and corporations are conducting secret genetic experiments on human beings. According to the theory, these experiments are designed to create enhanced humans, to implant tracking devices, or to modify human behavior and capabilities. Believers argue that some of the world's elite or military personnel have been genetically modified and enhanced through secret programs. The theory appeals to those concerned about corporate control and bioethics. Believers point to various technological advances in genetic science and argue that actual applications are far more advanced than publicly acknowledged. Some theorists claim to have evidence of genetic modification in certain individuals or groups. The Sirius Mystery. According to some conspiracy theorists, the brightest star in the sky, Sirius, holds special significance that has been known to ancient civilizations and secret societies throughout history. The theory suggests that Sirius is connected to advanced extraterrestrial civilizations or holds information about human origins. Believers argue that knowledge of Sirius's significance has been deliberately suppressed by mainstream science and religious institutions. Some versions of the theory connect Sirius to the Illuminati and claim that the star represents a focal point for their power and knowledge. Others suggest that Sirius is literally the home of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. The theory combines mythology, astronomy, and conspiracy thinking. The Loch Ness Monster and Government Cover-Up. While the Loch Ness Monster is often treated as a myth or tourist attraction, some conspiracy theorists believe that a genuine unknown creature inhabits Loch Ness and that governments are deliberately concealing evidence of its existence. According to believers, the creature represents an unknown species that contradicts accepted zoological understanding. They argue that evidence has been found and covered up by authorities. Some theorists suggest that the creature is extraterrestrial in origin or that it represents a surviving prehistoric species. They argue that the Scottish government maintains secrecy about the creature to preserve the area as a tourist attraction. The theory appeals to those interested in cryptozoology and hidden animals, the Holy Grail and hidden relics. According to some conspiracy theorists, the Holy Grail and other religious relics have been discovered and are being hidden by the Vatican or secret societies. Believers argue that these relics possess properties or contain knowledge that would overturn accepted religious understanding. Some theorists claim that the relics prove that Jesus traveled to other countries, or that they contain information about extraterrestrial contact. The theory appeals to those interested in religious history and alternative spirituality. It suggests that religious institutions are deliberately hiding relics that would prove or disprove certain religious claims. Some believers argue that if these relics were examined scientifically, they would reveal truths that would shake human civilization, the Akashic records and suppressed knowledge. According to some conspiracy theorists, the Akashic records, a supposed universal library of all knowledge, actually exists and is being protected and hidden by secret societies and governments. Believers argue that access to the Akashic records would provide complete knowledge of human history, the nature of consciousness, and the true structure of the universe. They claim that certain individuals have accessed these records and that this knowledge is being actively suppressed. The theory appeals to those interested in spirituality and alternative knowledge. It suggests that ultimate truth is accessible but is being deliberately hidden from humanity. Some believers claim that ancient mystics accessed the Akashic records and that their teachings contain evidence of this universal knowledge. Quantum experiments and reality manipulation. Some conspiracy theorists believe that quantum experiments at scientific facilities like CERN are not conducted for legitimate research purposes, but to deliberately manipulate reality itself. According to the theory, scientists have discovered how to use quantum mechanics to alter the nature of reality or shift between parallel universes. Believers argue that reality has already been shifted multiple times through these experiments, explaining the Mandela effect and other memory inconsistencies. The theory appeals to those interested in quantum physics and philosophy. It combines real quantum mechanics principles with speculative claims about reality manipulation. Some believers claim that each quantum experiment subtly alters reality in ways that only sensitive observers notice. Electrogravitic technology and levitation. Some conspiracy theorists believe that governments have developed technology that can manipulate gravity, allowing objects and vehicles to levitate and defy conventional physics. According to the theory, this electrogravitic technology is being tested in secret military facilities and is being kept hidden because it would overturn accepted physics. Believers point to UFO sightings as evidence that this technology or alien equivalents actually work. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative physics and suppressed technology. Some believers claim to have seen or worked with levitation devices. The theory suggests that a revolution in physics and technology is being deliberately delayed to maintain control over existing technological paradigms. The reptilians in the Vatican. A specific variation of reptilian conspiracy theory claims that the Vatican itself is controlled by reptilian beings, or that high-ranking Vatican officials are reptilians in disguise. According to believers, the reptilians use the Vatican's religious authority to control human civilization. Some theorists argue that evidence can be found in Vatican art, architecture, and the behavior of Vatican officials. The theory combines reptilian conspiracy thinking with religious skepticism. It appeals to those who are suspicious of religious institutions and who believe that extraterrestrial beings are controlling human affairs through religious structures. Some believers analyze Vatican footage and photographs looking for evidence of reptilian features or behavior. The Tartaria reset and history, rewriting. An expansion of the Tartaria theory suggests that human history has been deliberately reset and rewritten multiple times. According to believers, a vast advanced civilization called Tartaria existed and was erased from history, and that this same process of civilization, erasure, has occurred multiple times throughout history. The theory argues that current civilization will also eventually be reset and erased. The theory combines lost civilization mythology with beliefs about cyclical history and deliberate historical manipulation. Some believers point to architectural similarities across wide geographic areas as evidence of previous civilizations that have been erased. The theory appeals to those skeptical of accepted historical narratives. The missing Malaysian Airlines Flight MH17. While MH370 remains unsolved, MH17 was shot down over Ukraine in 2014, killing 298 people. However, some conspiracy theorists believe the official explanation of who shot down the plane is wrong. According to some believers, the plane was deliberately shot down by Ukrainian or American forces as part of geopolitical maneuvering. Other theorists suggest it was shot down by hidden military forces with advanced technology. The theory demonstrates how tragedy gets absorbed into conspiracy frameworks, with believers offering alternative explanations for what happened. The missing 411, phenomenon and interdimensional portals. A more recent conspiracy theory involves cataloging people who disappear in national parks and wilderness areas under mysterious circumstances. According to the missing 411 theory, these disappearances represent a phenomenon that authorities are deliberately ignoring or covering up. Some believers suggest that these disappearances are caused by interdimensional portals, UFO abductions, or supernatural entities. The theory appeals to those interested in paranormal phenomena and unexplained mysteries. Believers collect data about disappearances and argue that patterns suggest something beyond normal criminal activity or accidental death. The anthrax attacks and government involvement. Following September 11, 2001, anthrax spores were mailed to news media offices and U.S. senators, killing 5 people. The official investigation eventually concluded the attacks were carried out by a scientist at Fort Detrick. However, some conspiracy theorists believe the attacks were a false flag operation orchestrated by the government to create fear and justify increased surveillance and military spending. The theory combines legitimate questions about the investigation with conspiratorial thinking about government capabilities and willingness to harm citizens. The black budget and unaccounted government spending. Some conspiracy theorists argue that trillions of dollars in government spending goes unaccounted for in secret military and intelligence programs. According to believers, this black budget finances secret weapons development, underground bases, and classified research that the public never learns about. They argue that this massive spending on secret programs represents a government within the government. The theory appeals to those concerned about government transparency and fiscal accountability. While governments do have classified budgets for legitimate security purposes, believers argue that these are far larger than acknowledged and fund dangerous or unethical programs. The Tuskegee Airmen suppression. While the Tuskegee experiments on African American men are historically documented, some conspiracy theorists believe that the scope of the government's medical experimentation was far wider than official accounts admit. According to believers, the government conducted numerous other experiments on marginalized populations that remain undocumented and covered up. The theory uses real historical atrocities as a basis for arguing that secret experiments on populations continue today. It appeals to those concerned about medical ethics and government abuses of power. The Google algorithm conspiracy. Some conspiracy theorists believe that Google's search algorithm is deliberately manipulated to suppress certain information and promote government or corporate narratives. According to believers, Google works with governments and intelligence agencies to control what information reaches the public. They argue that alternative viewpoints and controversial information are deliberately hidden from search results. The theory reflects concern about corporate control of information and how algorithms might be used to shape public opinion. While Google does use algorithmic filtering, conspiracy theorists argue this goes far beyond what is publicly acknowledged. The FEMA concentration camps. A persistent theory claims that the Federal Emergency Management Agency has built concentration camps throughout the United States that will be used to imprison citizens during a declared emergency. According to believers, these camps are already constructed and staffed, waiting for the government to activate them. Some theorists connect this to theories about the New World Order and global government control. The theory appeals to those concerned about government overreach and loss of freedom. While FEMA does operate emergency facilities, believers argue that these are actually detention camps designed for sinister purposes. The Mockbird Operation expansion. An expansion of Operation Mockingbird theory suggests that not only does the CIA control mainstream media, but that television broadcasts themselves can be interrupted and replaced with government programming without viewers' knowledge. According to believers, the government can take over television signals to broadcast propaganda or false information during emergencies. The theory reflects concern about media manipulation and government control of communication systems. It appeals to those skeptical of official narratives during crises. The COINTELPRO expansion. While COINTELPRO was a real FBI program that infiltrated and disrupted civil rights groups, some conspiracy theorists believe the program never ended. According to believers, the FBI continues to infiltrate activist groups, create provocateurs, and manipulate movements from within. They argue that many modern activist movements have been compromised by government infiltration. The theory uses documented government surveillance and manipulation as a basis for claiming that these practices continue and are far more widespread than publicly acknowledged. The David Rockefeller depopulation agenda. Some conspiracy theorists cite supposed statements by David Rockefeller about population reduction as evidence of an elite plan to reduce global population. According to believers, Rockefeller and other elites want to eliminate billions of people to create a more manageable world population that they can control. They connect this to various conspiracy theories about chemtrails, vaccines, and pandemics. The theory combines quotes taken out of context or misattributed with conspiratorial thinking about elite control and population reduction. The Marjory Stone Webster suppression. Some conspiracy theorists claim that educator and author Marjory Stone Webster had access to secret historical knowledge that was suppressed. According to believers, Webster discovered information about hidden history and government conspiracies, but was silenced before she could fully reveal what she knew. The theory illustrates how conspiracy thinkers construct narratives around figures they believe possessed forbidden knowledge, but were prevented from sharing it. The Silicon Valley agenda. Some conspiracy theorists believe that major technology companies in Silicon Valley are deliberately creating technology designed to control human behavior and consciousness. According to believers, the companies work with governments and intelligence agencies to develop surveillance technology and platforms designed to manipulate society. The theory appeals to those concerned about corporate power and technology's role in society. While legitimate concerns about data privacy and algorithm bias exist, conspiracy theorists argue that the actual intentions are far more sinister. The artificial sweetener conspiracy. According to some conspiracy theorists, artificial sweeteners are deliberately added to food and beverages, not just to sweeten them, but to cause health problems. Believers argue that artificial sweeteners cause obesity, diabetes, and various cancers despite being marketed as healthy alternatives to sugar. They claim that manufacturers know about these effects but hide them for profit. The theory combines concerns about food safety with conspiratorial thinking about corporate deception. While some artificial sweeteners have been shown to have health effects, conspiracy theorists argue the situation is far worse than official sources acknowledge. The Underground Rail System. Some conspiracy theorists believe that there is an extensive underground rail system connecting military bases and secret facilities throughout the United States. According to believers, this system allows rapid transportation of materials and personnel without public knowledge. They argue that construction of this system was kept secret and that it continues to be used for classified purposes. The theory combines knowledge of real underground infrastructure with speculation about hidden government systems. Believers analyze construction projects and unusual underground activity as evidence of this system. The pharmaceutical industry cover-ups. Some conspiracy theorists believe that pharmaceutical companies deliberately hide information about dangerous side effects of medications to continue profiting from them. According to believers, companies suppress research showing that common medications cause serious health problems. They argue that natural remedies are suppressed because they cannot be patented and profit cannot be made from them. The theory reflects legitimate concerns about pharmaceutical industry practices while extending into conspiratorial claims about deliberate harm and systematic suppression. The Princess Diana and MI6 assassination expansion. An expansion of the Diana conspiracy theory suggests that British intelligence agency MI6 specifically orchestrated her death as part of a plan to prevent her from marrying a Muslim man and producing heirs who would challenge the royal succession. According to believers, surveillance footage was destroyed and witnesses were intimidated to cover up the assassination. The theory combines romantic speculation about Diana's personal life with claims about intelligence agency capabilities and willingness to commit murder. The Corbyn death investigation. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the death of investigator Oscar Corbyn was connected to his research into government conspiracies. According to believers, Corbyn was killed to prevent him from releasing damaging information he had discovered about government wrongdoing. The theory illustrates how conspiracy thinkers connect deaths of researchers and investigators to their supposed investigations, creating a narrative of silencing through assassination. The chemtrail accumulation and toxic exposure. A more detailed version of the chemtrail theory argues that the toxic particles from chemtrails accumulate in human bodies and cause various illnesses. According to believers, this toxic accumulation is causing widespread health problems that are misattributed to other causes. They argue that the human body cannot eliminate the toxic materials and that they accumulate over time. The theory combines real concerns about air pollution with speculative claims about intentional poisoning through chemtrails. The reptilians in entertainment. Some conspiracy theorists believe that various celebrities and entertainers are reptilians or are controlled by reptilians. According to believers, reptilian beings use entertainment to influence human culture and shape society according to their agenda. They argue that certain films, music, and performances contain hidden messages designed to indoctrinate humans into accepting reptilian control. The theory appeals to those skeptical of entertainment industry influence and who believe that media shapes society in harmful ways. The Mayan calendar and 2012 apocalypse expansion. While the 2012 apocalypse predictions failed to materialize, some conspiracy theorists believe that the Mayan calendar contained knowledge that was deliberately misinterpreted. According to believers, the calendar predicted a catastrophic event that will occur later than 2012, and that governments know about this future event and are preparing in secret. The theory demonstrates how conspiracy thinking adapts when predictions fail, with believers simply adjusting their timelines and arguments. The Area 52 facility beyond Area 51. Some conspiracy theorists believe that there is another secret military facility called Area 52 that is even more secret and houses even more significant discoveries. According to believers, Area 52 contains evidence of extraterrestrial life and advanced technology that is far more extraordinary than what is supposedly hidden at Area 51. The theory extends the Area 51 conspiracy by proposing an even more hidden facility. It appeals to those who believe that Area 51 itself might be partially disclosed as a way of hiding even greater secrets at Area 52. The suppressed technologies in patents. Some conspiracy theorists believe that governments and corporations suppress patent applications for technologies that would revolutionize society or threaten existing industries. According to believers, advanced technologies are patented but never released to the public because they would make existing technologies and industries obsolete. The theory appeals to those interested in technological development and those skeptical of corporate control. While governments do classify some patent applications for security reasons, conspiracy theorists argue that this extends to technologies that would benefit society. The comet conspiracy and near-Earth objects. According to some conspiracy theorists, governments have detected a rogue planet or massive comet that will collide with Earth in the near future. Believers argue that this information is being kept secret to prevent panic and because governments believe they can't effectively respond to such a catastrophe. The theory combines legitimate concerns about near-Earth objects with conspiratorial thinking about government secrecy and the likelihood of catastrophic collision. The JFK Jr. assassination cover-up expansion. An expansion of the JFK Jr. conspiracy theory suggests that his plane crash was part of a conspiracy involving multiple powerful interests who wanted him eliminated. According to believers, evidence of sabotage was discovered but covered up, and that his death was intended to prevent him from pursuing certain political goals or releasing information he possessed. The theory extends beyond simple accident or pilot error to suggest deliberate assassination as part of a larger conspiracy. The Phoenix Lights military operation. The Phoenix Lights UFO sighting in 1997, witnessed by thousands of people, remains unexplained. According to some conspiracy theorists, the government knows exactly what the lights were and has covered up this knowledge. Some believers argue it was a secret military aircraft or weapon. Others claim it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. The theory demonstrates how prominent unexplained phenomena get absorbed into conspiracy frameworks, with believers proposing government knowledge and cover-up. The Bohemian Grove sacrificial ceremonies. An expansion of the Bohemian Grove conspiracy suggests that not only are secret rituals performed there, but that these rituals involve human sacrifice. According to believers, elites gather at Bohemian Grove to perform dark ceremonies that include ritualistic elimination of human beings as part of maintaining their power and connection to dark forces. The theory combines conspiracy thinking about secret societies with claims about ritual practices and human sacrifice. The Vatican underground tunnels and treasures. According to some conspiracy theorists, extensive tunnel systems exist beneath the Vatican that connect to ancient structures and contain treasures of immense value and historical significance. Believers argue that the Vatican uses these tunnels to hide evidence and to transport artifacts and treasures in secret. The theory appeals to those interested in historical mysteries and religious institutions. It suggests that the Vatican has access to knowledge and artifacts that they deliberately keep hidden from the public. The suppressed energy resources. Some conspiracy theorists believe that massive energy resources exist that governments are hiding from the public. According to believers, there are sources of virtually unlimited clean energy that have been discovered but are being suppressed because energy companies profit from current energy systems. They argue that this suppression prevents humanity from achieving energy independence and freedom. The theory appeals to those concerned about climate change and energy independence. It combines real interest in alternative energy with conspiratorial thinking about corporate suppression of beneficial technologies. The hidden chambers of the Great Pyramid. Some conspiracy theorists believe that hidden chambers exist within the Great Pyramid of Giza that contain advanced technology or ancient knowledge. According to believers, these chambers have been discovered but are being kept secret by governments and academic institutions. Some theorists argue that the pyramid itself was built by extraterrestrials or that it contains technology that defies conventional understanding of ancient capabilities. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative archaeology and ancient mysteries. Believers argue that the pyramid holds secrets that would overturn accepted history. Some theorists suggest that scanning technology has detected hidden chambers that are being deliberately kept hidden from public knowledge. Skinwalkers and government experiments. According to some conspiracy theorists, skinwalkers, creatures from Native American mythology that can take human form, are real and are being studied or controlled by government agencies. According to believers, the government has captured skinwalkers or is conducting experiments to create human-animal hybrids with shape-shifting capabilities. Some theorists claim that skinwalkers are extraterrestrial in origin. The theory combines mythology with claims about secret government experimentation. Some believers report encounters with skinwalkers and argue that governments are covering up their existence. The theory appeals to those interested in cryptozoology and paranormal phenomena. The Jimmy Hoffa disappearance and government involvement. The disappearance of labor leader Jimmy Hoffa in 1975 remains one of America's great unsolved mysteries. According to some conspiracy theorists, Hoffa was not simply murdered by organized crime, but was eliminated by government agencies, or the CIA. Believers argue that Hoffa possessed dangerous information about government corruption and organized crime connections that made him a liability. Some theorists suggest that Hoffa's body was disposed of in creative ways, from being buried under giant stadium to being dissolved in acid. Others argue that government agencies orchestrated his disappearance to prevent him from testifying about what he knew. The case demonstrates how real unsolved mysteries inspire increasingly elaborate conspiracy theories. The Denver Mile High Stadium conspiracy. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Denver Mile High Stadium was built over something significant that the government wanted to hide. According to the theory, the stadium's construction involved covering up ancient artifacts, advanced technology, or something equally significant. Believers argue that the unusual costs and construction details suggest the stadium was built as a cover for something else. The theory combines Denver's already notorious conspiracy reputation with speculation about what might be hidden beneath the stadium. Some believers connect this to theories about underground military bases and secret government facilities. The Rosemary Kilroy files and missing documentations. Some conspiracy theorists believe that journalist Rosemary Kilroy uncovered information about secret government programs before her death, and that her files were confiscated and hidden. According to believers, she had evidence about government conspiracies that would have been extremely damaging if released. They argue that her death was conveniently timed and that the disappearance of her research files is suspicious. The theory illustrates how conspiracy thinkers connect the deaths of journalists and researchers to supposed cover-ups of their work. It appeals to those concerned about media suppression and government control of information. The Montauk Project and time travel experimentation. According to some conspiracy theorists, the U.S. military conducted time travel experiments at Camp Hero at Montauk Point in New York. According to believers, these experiments were successful, and the government has been using time travel technology for decades. Some theorists claim that this project involved creating temporal rifts and contacting alternate timelines. The theory combines military secrecy with science fiction concepts about time travel. Believers argue that the military has access to technology that would revolutionize human understanding of physics, but that they keep it secret for strategic advantage. The symbolism in currency expansion. An expansion of the Illuminati symbolism conspiracy focuses specifically on hidden messages in currency. According to believers, various elements of currency design contain occult or Illuminati symbols that serve purposes beyond decoration. Some theorists argue that these symbols are used to psychologically influence people who handle the currency. The theory reflects broader concerns about hidden messages and subliminal influence in everyday objects. The Mandela effect and universe. Shifting. An expansion of the Mandela effect theory suggests that reality shifts are occurring more frequently, and that this indicates we're living in a simulation that is malfunctioning or being deliberately altered. According to believers, each Mandela effect represents a shift in reality or a glitch in the simulation. The theory appeals to those interested in quantum mechanics, parallel universes, and the nature of reality. It provides a framework for understanding the unsettling experience of false memories. The Mars colony and human trafficking. According to some conspiracy theorists, humans have established a secret colony on Mars, and that human trafficking is occurring as people are transported to Mars for labor or other purposes. Believers argue that the space agencies are covering up successful Mars colonization and that a secret space program operates parallel to NASA. The theory combines UFO mythology with concerns about human trafficking and secret space programs. It appeals to those interested in space exploration and those skeptical of official space agency narratives. The suppressed ancient technology artifacts. Some conspiracy theorists believe that artifacts of advanced ancient technology have been discovered but are being hidden in museum basements and private collections. According to believers, these artifacts prove that ancient civilizations possess technology far exceeding what mainstream archaeology acknowledges. The theory appeals to those interested in alternative archaeology and ancient mysteries. It suggests that museums deliberately hide certain artifacts to protect accepted historical narratives. The consciousness uploading program. According to some conspiracy theorists, governments and corporations are developing technology to upload human consciousness to computers. Believers argue that this technology is being secretly tested and that powerful individuals plan to achieve digital immortality through consciousness uploading, while others will be left behind. The theory combines real developments in neuroscience and technology with speculative claims about secret programs and social inequality in access to new technologies. The suppressed archaeological discoveries in Peru. Some conspiracy theorists believe that significant archaeological discoveries in Peru, particularly relating to lost civilizations and advanced ancient cultures, are being deliberately suppressed. According to believers, the Peruvian government works with international bodies to hide evidence that would overturn accepted history of the Andes region. The theory appeals to those interested in pre-Columbian civilizations and alternative history. 65 conspiracy theories now, each one representing a different way that humans try to make sense of an incomprehensible world. From the scientific seeming to the utterly fantastical, these theories share something in common. They propose that there's more to reality than what mainstream institutions tell us. Whether that's true or not probably depends on which particular theory you're examining and how much evidence you're willing to accept as convincing. Some of these theories seem almost quaint in their assumptions about government competence. The idea that governments could successfully maintain absolute secrecy about massive operations requires believing that bureaucratic institutions are far more efficient and coordinated than they've ever actually proven to be. Other theories seem more plausible, built on documented programs that have genuinely abused power and violated people's rights. The challenge is determining which conspiracy claims have merit and which are pure speculation born from pattern seeking and distrust. What's undeniable is that conspiracy theories serve a psychological function. They provide narrative coherence to a chaotic world. They suggest that someone, somewhere, is in control, even if that someone is malevolent. They give people a sense of participation in discovering truth, of being among the initiated few who understand what's really happening. In a world that often feels random and overwhelming, the conspiracy worldview offers a strange kind of comfort. By now, you've encountered well over 100 different conspiracy theories. Some have overlapped with others, creating an interconnected web of ideas where one theory supports and validates another. A believer in reptilians might also believe in chemtrails. A chemtrail believer might also accept theories about mind control and secret government programs. The conspiracy ecosystem is self-reinforcing, with each theory making the others seem more plausible by comparison. What's striking about conspiracy theories is how adaptive they are. When evidence contradicts a theory, believers don't abandon the theory, but instead incorporate the contradiction into it. The contradiction becomes part of the cover-up. Failed predictions just mean the date needs to be adjusted. Official denials are proof of the conspiracy. This flexibility is both the strength and weakness of conspiracy thinking. It allows theories to persist indefinitely, but it also makes them impossible to falsify. As you settle into sleep, let these strange narratives fade into dreams. Let your mind wander through the possibilities and impossibilities you've encountered here. Some of these theories might spark genuine curiosity that leads you to research further. Others might simply entertain you as examples of human imagination at work. Tomorrow you'll wake to a world that looks the same as it always did, but you'll know about these alternate narratives that millions of people believe with genuine conviction. The conspiracy thinking won't stop. New theories will emerge as current events get reinterpreted through a conspiratorial lens. Existing theories will evolve and adapt as new information emerges. The human impulse to find hidden patterns and secret meanings is ancient and probably won't change anytime soon. Governments will continue to keep secrets, corporations will continue to prioritize profit, and people will continue to wonder what they're not being told. So thank you for spending this extensive time with us, for allowing these stories to occupy your mind as you drift toward sleep. For hours now, you've been listening to narratives about hidden worlds, suppressed truths, and shadowy forces controlling events behind the scenes. Perhaps you found some of these ideas interesting enough to investigate further. Perhaps others seemed clearly false, but entertaining nonetheless. Either way, you've now encountered over 100 distinct theories about how the world really works according to those who believe in conspiracies. If you've enjoyed this deeper and more extensive dive into the world of conspiracy thinking, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We have more explorations of strange phenomena, unexplained events, and the fascinating ways that humans interpret the world around them. Sleep well now. Let yourself drift away completely. You've journeyed through enough strange worlds for one evening, perhaps for one night, perhaps for longer than you realize. Rest and dream of hidden truths waiting to be uncovered. Allow yourself to drift into peaceful sleep, knowing that tomorrow the world will continue and new theories will emerge. But tonight, for now, you can rest.